Welcome, everyone, to the Q&A session for our upcoming course, Spontaneous Transformation. 6 weeks of practices to release negative beliefs, heal core wounds, and claim your power. I'm Lisa Bunnies, and it's my honor to be hosting this Q&A conversation for the Shift Network, where we'll explore the teachings of Jennifer McLean and address questions about her upcoming 6-week course, Spontaneous Transformation, which begins Tuesday, September 17th. A little later, I'll explain how you can participate in the course, even if you can't attend the live sessions. But first, I want to introduce our guest. Jennifer McLean is an internationally acclaimed healer, author, speaker, and transformational change agent. Her innovative spontaneous transformation technique has helped hundreds of thousands over 3 decades to shift held energy in the body to successfully liberate themselves from old hurts and patterns of obstacles that lead to disease and upset. The author of 5 books, Jennifer has appeared on Fox, CBS, NBC, and has been featured in prominent online publications and summits. In just a few minutes, we're going to open up for your questions, but first, I want to bring Jennifer online. Welcome, Jennifer. It's so great to be here with you today.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun to be here. I've been having such a good time on the Shift Network. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you. But before we get into questions from our audience, you want to share just a little bit about what is spontaneous transformation and what's the course going to be about?
Yeah, the spontaneous transformation is a system of healing I developed when I was training as a healer, and shortly after that, I discovered that a lot of the training I had received, I witnessed that people were kind of re-traumatizing themselves through that. They were diving back into the old memories. Now, in that moment, I realized that I've got to do something different because I was actually experiencing the trauma, re-traumatizing as well. So I created a system of healing that allowed me to use in the moment. So in the moment, I was able to actually shift and change my energy completely. And what I found was that when I shift and change the energy in the moment, it actually was permanent. That thing that had bothered me for years was somehow different, softer. I could approach it differently now. And that also changed my life in so many ways. I used spontaneous transformation technique on myself for decades. It helped me to overcome cancer. It helped me to overcome severe adrenal exhaustion where I was passing out. It was so bad. And a lot of those things happened because of the experiences I had in childhood. I had a very, very damaging and challenging childhood. And so the things that happen to us in childhood, the neurosciences have proven that the things that happen to us in childhood set up the beliefs, the conclusions that we made about who we are and what life is to this very day. Those things and the repressed emotions in particular are running the show in the background. And they are fueling the mind's upset and stress and worry and anxiety. And they are keeping us in a vibration. This is vibrational medicine. This is energy medicine. It's creating an energy vibration and an energy medicine of slowing down what it is that we're desiring. Because it's kind of that's the dominant belief, and that's the belief that's moving into the world. That's belief that's in our field of being that is actually the creative force. So when we can actually move in and heal those traumas, move in and heal those old beliefs of lack and limitation that we had for good reason, that have actually helped us to survive, but at this stage, they're not helping us anymore. So when we can go in and unwind them and heal them and transform these things, these old beliefs, deep in the subconscious, we actually feel, first of all, lighter. But secondly, and almost more importantly, we become different in our life. And when we are different, when we show up differently, when we observe things differently, when we know that this is my energy, I know who I am, and therefore I know who they are, and I can see their motivations more clearly, and I see that most of the stuff they're doing has nothing to do with me. I'm no longer upset by it. When we move into that energy, we can now accomplish so much more. And now if you think of it from a health perspective too, when you are in this energy of your power of knowing who you are, knowing who they are, there's more peace, there's more calm, there's more space. And that allows the immune system to actually do its job. I was working with a client the other day, and we were playing with this idea. We were doing spontaneous transformation and moving into that energy. And then we actually held an intention, which we will be doing, by the way, in the course. We're going to be doing this really profound healing that I did with a client the other day, where we were able to actually notice the areas of the body and give them space that allowed the immune system to actually turn on and do its job. Right now, many of our immune systems, because of emotional upset that's deep in the subconscious, it's like we've got our finger in the dam, holding the whole dam up with our finger, like, oh my God. And so the immune system is doing this instead of actually turning on the natural healing intelligence. So when we remove all that core unconscious wounds, and the repressed emotions that come with it, and the beliefs and conclusions we made in childhood, when we remove those things, oh my gosh, we are in this absolute new place of potentiality, of possibility, of health and wholeness, and allowing and compassion for ourselves and others. That's a very long answer.
Well, fascinating one. I'm really looking forward to our conversation here and seeing what kind of questions everybody comes in with. So for those of you who are watching, we have the rest of our time together to dive into your questions for Jennifer as we prepare for her upcoming course. Again, that's called Spontaneous Transformation. And again, it begins Tuesday, September 17th. And if you want to check out the website. Yes.
Sorry about that. Give them the website. And there's something I actually forgot to mention. Sorry. Go ahead. Give them the website.
Okay, great. Yeah, the website is spontaneoustransformationcourse.com. So go ahead.
Yeah, what's really exciting to me about this course is that I'm taking all of the healing tricks in my tool bag. I call it the quadruple healing multiplier. And that includes attunements, which are powerful ways to access dormant energy and turn it on and unlock it. I'm also doing sound vibration acoustical healing for the chakras, which is a very important part of the physical body. It's an important part of the hormonal body. So if you're having any challenges with hormones, clearing your chakras is actually a really cool way to do that. And we're doing that in this course with sound vibration. And not only are you going to be experiencing sound vibration to clear your chakras, but I'm also going to teach you how to do some sound vibration on yourself so you can start doing your own acoustical anchoring and healing on that. We're also going to be exploring healing journeys. I did a ton of shamanic work when I was in my 30s, and now the STT frequencies are part of the journeys that you're going to be going on. And I described that we're going to do a wonderful healing journey where you're really going to turn on your immune system, and you're going to turn on your lack and limitation, release those and turn on abundance and prosperity. We're going to be playing with that as well. And then there is healing journey, and then of course the spontaneous transformation technique, which is going into the core wounds, into the core reasons why you have repressed emotions and these patterns and these coping mechanisms, and we're going to unwind that. So thanks for letting me share. I forgot to mention that, and in particular, I wanted to share about the soul song, soul song that you're going to be learning how to do, which is really deep sound vibration.
All right, nice. Well, thanks for adding that bit on there. That's fascinating. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started with some questions. Those of you watching, if you have a question for Jennifer, go ahead and type it in, and I'll be happy to read it out loud. And in the meantime, we've already got some questions coming in here, so let's go ahead and dive in here. We've got a question here from somebody who obviously watched your conversation with Steve and Dinah, the intro call, we call them. Yes. And you talked about working with the mirror image. So Brenda wants to know, could you explain that maybe just a little more clearly? She didn't quite get what you meant.
Yeah, sure. It is a kind of a confusing concept, but the idea is that we want to make sure that we are not working in the original trauma. I mean, that's essentially it. So the original trauma is the memory, and the memory doesn't matter. It is so long over. The memory doesn't matter. But what matters about those moments of the trauma, of the memory, is that we have these repressed emotions. And that's where I play. I play with the emotions that were left over. And so in a way, it's and also I do this thing called being the observer. And the observer is really staying out of what's happening, really staying detached and neutral and away from the original trauma. And so to me, that's playing with the mirror image of the trauma, if you will. So the trauma's over here, and I kind of did this little diagram where you start with the circle and then you go into its opposite. And you actually see this in nature. If a stream is hitting a rock, it creates an opposite eddy in the different directions. The current on one side is this way, and the current on the other side is the other way. And so the idea there is to not work with the original impact, but work with the mirror image behind the rock, if you will. So hopefully that didn't confuse you more. But the most important part of that is to be the observer in your life, and in particular in the spontaneous transformation work when we're doing a healing, and to be the observer, to be detached and not be attached to any outcome, and not dive into the emotions, but allow the little ones to experience the emotions. You'll understand that when you're in the STT part. And to stay in the beautiful energy of just playing with the emotions and not the memory itself. And that, to me, resolved the challenge I had with many healing modalities of actually being re-traumatized because they're diving into the memory. They're doing primal screams and things like that. And instead, we play with the being the observer and playing with unlocking and allowing the emotions to be expressed, which is kind of similar to being in that mirror image. I hope that explained it.
Yeah, I think so. If nothing else, it was a really good start. So
Yes.
That made a lot of sense. Well, then let's go to a question. Actually, a couple people are asking this one. I'll read Serendipity's version of it. Is it truly possible to spontaneously heal deep emotional wounds without knowing the root cause?
Absolutely. In fact, that's why this system of healing is so profound and powerful, because it detours around the mind. So let's talk a little bit about the mind. The mind is, oftentimes our mind is kind of in charge right now. It's in what I call control. And what that means is that the mind is trying to control outcomes. The mind is 100% attached. The mind is bracing and waiting for the other shoe to fall. The mind is judging and blaming and being a victim. And there's good reason why the mind is being these things. However, that's not the energy that is going to heal, transform, and get you what you want. Okay, so what we do in the spontaneous transformation technique is we detour around the mind. In fact, all of the quadruple healing multipliers that are part of the spontaneous transformation system of healing detour around the mind's need to control. And it's lovely because it's not hurting the mind or upsetting the mind. The mind is kind of like tricked a little bit, if you will. And it detours around the mind so that we can actually get to the core. And when we get to the core and finally allow this part of us, this aspect of us, to give voice to something it was never safe to give voice to before, something really miraculous happens. There is a deep and profound and permanent healing. That's the other thing that I have found over the years of doing STT, is that there is a permanent transformation. And it seemingly spontaneous. I've had one person, if you check out the sales page, you'll see this quote. And I've heard this again and again and again. 30 years of psychotherapy was the issue was resolved with one STT. Now, that's not typical. That's somewhat unusual that one would do it. But when someone has been on a path for a long time and they do spontaneous transformation, it can really create an instant and permanent healing of the whole issue. Now, most of the time for me, this is layered. I do STT every single day. To me, it's a practice. And I do it in the moment of reaction. When I'm upset about something, when something's happened, when I look at someone said something unkind to me, or I get scared about something, that's the moment that I use. And I see it now not as something going wrong in my life, but it's a point of access, revealing the core wound. When we're upset, when we're in reaction about something that's happening in life, it's simply revelatory. It's revealing the core wound. And so when we know, now we can change our mind, we can change the angle of perception on how we look at everything in our life and say that is a revelation. When I'm upset, when I'm hurt, when something's happening, It has nothing to do with the other person. It's all mine, and I get to use it as a point of access now to go deep into the core through the spontaneous transformation technique and the quadruple healing multiplier systems of healing. I can go into the core and finally heal that root cause, the root core wound. And that creates this seemingly almost magical, it's not magic, there's real science behind it, but it seems this, it's almost spontaneous transformation. It's like that issue, that thing that I was just having a real problem with is not an issue anymore. And I promise you'll experience this, I promise. There's a really cool bonus of 3 STT workshops before you even start the program that you can dive in right now, and you can experience it in the next couple of minutes. If you join immediately, you can experience one of those workshops and you'll get exactly what I'm feeling. You'll start to feel different about that thing. Now, if that thing changes, and then the next thing that show up, that changes, and the next thing that show up, and that changes, and the next things that show up, that changes, and you keep doing STT, you get to a point where it's about 5 to 10 minutes to do an STT session. And at that point, you're just going through the layers, and it is really a powerful, miraculous experience. You start walking through your life in peace and calm and grace. Now, I'm here to tell you that life doesn't all of a sudden become bliss, because that's not what life is, as you probably are aware. However, your ability to respond to life changes dramatically. Your ability to stand in the midst of it and be okay. Your ability to have someone say something to you and it just doesn't matter. Your ability to be present and compassionate for another that you couldn't have had compassion for previously starts to show up. And that creates this wonderful vibration of transformation that changes all aspects of your life. It actually creates an abundance frequency. It creates more prosperity. It opens up your energy field, and your immune system gets supported with energy, so that you can actually start to heal and find wholeness and peace and calm. And I've witnessed it with tens of thousands of my clients. I've done lots of STT programs with large audiences, so I get to see and hear from them what's been happening for them. And if you want to read a few testimonials, they're on that page, spontaneoustransformationcourse.com.
Okay, wow, thank you. Let's move to a different subject here. We've got people, actually quite a few people asking, how can this work with specific physical ailments? Now, I know that you can't offer medical advice, but like, for example, there are people asking, can this help with Parkinson's? Can it help with arthritis? Even cancer? How does this work with actual physical disease healing?
Yeah. Well, physical disease is, from my perspective, has an emotional component. I've never seen it not, so I'm going with that. I'm sticking to it. I've worked with tons and tons of people who have had physical ailments that have dramatically changed. One of my clients, for example, went from terminal stage 4 cancer and is no longer terminal. It helps. Now, how does it do that? From my perspective, this is energy medicine, right? So these beliefs that we've held onto in childhood, there's a neurophysiology that gets set up. There's also an energy drain that happens. So I've worked with lots of people with fibromyalgia and Lyme disease and so on, and cancer and Parkinson's and some ailments that don't have a diagnosis. And what we do is, by doing spontaneous transformation with that, we're actually accessing the emotional connection to the upset, right? And when we unwind and heal that deep emotional and transform it and allow it to have a voice, that deep emotional upset that happened in moments of trauma from 0 to 9 years old, when we do that, it really frees up the immune system. So much energy right now is spent on bracing against life. So much energy is spent on being hurt and being a victim. So much energy is spent on being judgment and pointing at what's wrong and pointing what's wrong. That is energy being spent. When we heal up the core wounds, all that stuff changes dramatically. And when that changes, it frees up the energy to actually do what it's supposed to do, which is take care of the physical body. The natural healing intelligence turns on. And when it turns on, it creates real dramatic shifts. I'm saying dramatic a lot, but it's true. It is dramatic. It's spontaneous, right? Which can be pretty dramatic. But it creates genuine shifts in the energy field. This is energy medicine. And that energy field has more space. And when there's more space, there's more capacity for the cells to know what they're doing, for the systems within the physical body to start communicating with one another more powerfully. And we're actually going to be doing on the journey night, as part of the course, we're going to be doing a very profound journey into physical healing. So that's going to be we're going to do other things that night as well. But I just got this 2 days ago when I worked with a client and I did this process. When I do my private work with clients, I often get new material, and they gave this new material for you when you join the course. So it's a very, very powerful process. What my client was actually in bed and for several years, unable to get out of bed with very severe illness. And she felt she was completely different by the end of the session. So be prepared to have your immune system really kick in a new way and allow your mind to quiet as a result, which will allow the even more immune system to support you. You're in for a real treat if you have any kind of physical ailment or upset. This is really a profound system. And again, it's because we're doing emotional healing. And emotional, there's always an emotional upset, an emotional trauma, an emotional repressed emotion that is part of physical upset in the body.
All right. Wow. Thank you. Sorry, I got distracted here. I'm trying to listen to you and also think about what question to ask it next. But
Sure.
I'm seeing a lot of questions from parents here. There's a lot of distress. People asking, how do I help my teenager? There's a lot of, there's like 5 or 6 questions from parents asking, how do I help my troubled teen? They've been traumatized or they've got illness. Can you use this work on someone else? And how do you deal with the whole, the teenage years are so much more difficult sometimes than other years. So can we address that?
In our society, being a teenager right now has some, I think, extra demands that you and I didn't face when we were teenagers. So absolutely. In fact, if you can get your teenager to take the course, I'd recommend it. And part of it is because it's not. There's not going to be lectures and telling them what to do and why to do it and telling them there's not a lot of hows. It's just allowing them to experience themselves, allowing them to remember who they are. With every spontaneous transformation, by the end of the session, we start to remember who we actually are. And when we remember who we are, we're creating a new vibrational frequency. There's a rise in the energy and the vibration. And so it's particularly good for teenagers because it's going to be fun and interesting. It's not going to be a lecture about health. It's going to be an experiential understanding of who they actually are. The first session is going to be talking a little bit about what's really going on and in a deeper way. And there's going to be some healing. And the first session is actually going to be experiencing who they are at their core. It's actually going to be understanding the core of who they are. And listen, when we understand our core, everything changes because it's now who we are is in conscious awareness and understanding and starts to gain power. And that power now creates a framework and a clear boundary. And as we know that, we now, these teenagers and you will now understand that who you are is not who you thought you were. You are way more than you thought. And for a teenage mind to experience that is quite profound. And when they can move through the world with this new understanding of who they are, the decisions become easier, the The ways of looking at the world become more comprehensible. It's less confusing. And that's what the whole course is about, really. That's that first week in particular is finding your core power, discovering who you actually really are. And you'd be surprised who you actually really are. And you're going to discover that in that first week. And then followed up by all the other parts of the spontaneous transformation system of healing that will allow each of them to have a new understanding and a new angle of perception, a new way of looking at who they actually are. And when we stand in our power of I am, we are unstoppable. And I actually believe that that's where all of us are going. You know, I talked recently on another program about the 100th monkey, and Carl Jung talked about critical mass. Critical mass is also a scientific term that's used in atomic energy. That's not the critical mass I'm talking about. It is about group consciousness reaching a similar vibrational frequency at the same time that creates awakening for everyone. And according to Carl Jung and others, 10% is what was needed, is to reach critical mass. That's 750,000 people. Now, that's not 750,000 people that know how to do the law of attraction. That's not what I'm talking about. It's 750,000 people at once who have healed to the level that they actually know who they are. And it sounds really simple, but it is quite profound. Knowing who you are from a very deep, conscious, awakened place allows you to stand in the center of your life and in the midst of anything that happens, and you're okay. And you're not only good, but you're a source of power and love and light for everyone else. You walk into a room and everyone is elevated. When 750,000 people have healed to the point, have released the judgment and the victimhood and the health upsets, and not that that's a sign of doing anything wrong. We're on this beautiful pathway towards that, and those things are important milestones in the pathway. And as we use them now, instead of pointing them and say, this is what's wrong and I got to get rid of, instead we're moving into an energy of, this is a point of access to reveal to me what's ready to be healed and then heal it. And we do that and we do that and do that. 750 million of us do that. There's going to be awakening so powerful on this planet. And I really believe that you are part of the cutting edge, or you're the front of the wave here. You're one of the way showers. You wouldn't be listening to this if you weren't. And I believe you're here to get to that point of what I call grace, of pure grace, of love and light and power and conscious, awakened understanding of that power, to the point where no matter what happens, we're good. That nothing outside of us has to change in order for us to be okay. When we get to that point, we will be part of a massive awakening. And it reminds me of, this is being recorded on September 12th, the day after 9/11. And I remember, you probably remember too, the day after 9/11, what the world was like, at least in the United States. It was different. We were kinder. We smiled. I'm getting tears as I talk about it. We were smiled at each other. We let each other in the line and in traffic. It was a different day. It was so gentle and loving and powerful. And my guides are showing me that this is what's going to happen when 750 million of us, I probably said 1,000 a couple times, sorry. 750 million is 10%. When 750 million of us are in that and we created awakening, the next day is going to be like the day after 9/11, only for really good reasons. Because we're going to know what love is. We're going to know who we are. We're going to know what's possible and what's next with love. And it starts with these little, beautiful, powerful, profound healings and transformations that we do by knowing that whatever's showing up in our life is here for us because we're ready. Because we're ready. Not because God doesn't give us more than we can handle, but because we're actually ready. We're ready. How do I know that we're ready? Because it's happening. And so the same things are happening for teenagers. And if they can understand this, they're really quick, these teenagers that are being born right now, that are living right now. But they are quick. If they start to understand these things, they're going to show us how to do this. And so I'm really, really excited to play with all of you in exploring this and healing into this, and truly being one of the way showers of the 100th monkey of the group consciousness 10% mass consciousness awakening.
All right, nice, thanks. And for those of you who are just joining us, we're here with Jennifer McLean, learning about her upcoming course, Spontaneous Transformation, and it begins Tuesday, September 17th. You can log on to spontaneoustransformationcourse.com for all the details and to register. And let's go ahead and get back into questions because they're really pouring in. Let's change subjects entirely. I'm really surprised by how many people are writing in with a very similar question. Let me read one version of it. This is from Essian, who says, how do you get rid of an entity or energy that refuses to leave your body, no matter the amount of prayers offered and asking your creator to take over the situation bothering you? There are a lot of people asking about negative attachments, entities. They're using different words, but it all boils down to the same thing. So I'm wondering if you can address that topic.
Right. Well, the challenge is that we look at negative entities and energies as bad or wrong. As soon as we do that, then there's a push-pull, and it's like the invitation is still there. So if there is a negative energy or entity, I mean, these things are to me are not scary. There was an invitation at some point. It might have happened in teenage years. You know, if you drank too much one night and blacked out, that might have been an invitation. There's a belief that might have happened that created from a trauma in childhood that created a vibrational invitation, and so these things are here because for a reason, and you're conscious of them because you're ready to heal. That's all that's happening. Like every other part of your life, this is simply showing up to reveal what's ready to be healed. And so if we look at it that way, you might have already felt this. There's already a shift in the energy that's happened right here. Just from considering that, what if, let's play with this right now. What if there's nothing going wrong? What if that were true? And in your minds, some of your minds are going, "Oh, she's insane," and might be ready to click off this video right now. I get it, but let's just play for a minute, okay? Just pure pretend fantasy. What if there's nothing going wrong? What if that were true? Just play with it. Just play with it for a second. What do you think that might feel like if there was nothing wrong? Wow, there's really quite a large shift happening as all of us do this together. What if there was nothing going wrong at all? What would that feel like if that were true? And some of you might even be beyond it. So what does it feel like that there's nothing going wrong? There we go. And I want you to notice that there's already a shift in the vibrational field that is creating a departure invitation for some entities and energies. Does that feel like that could be true? So this stuff is actually quite simple, but the challenge is that our mind that doesn't have to, but it's time for our mind to start thinking in new ways. And the way the mind starts thinking in new ways is by healing these pieces that are fueling the mind with old limiting beliefs that are deep in the subconscious, with old traumas, with old conclusions about who we are, what life is. And when we start doing that, and the simple exercises like this, what if there's nothing going wrong? Including whatever that energy is. What if there's nothing going wrong? There's the only reason an energy, some people call them entities, would be there is because there's an invitation. That's it. You know, there are some people that are really sick and have parasites. And I went to a doctor once, and he shared with me something really interesting. He said, some people are going about that whole process incorrectly. The parasites are there for a reason. So let's get to the underlying reason why they're there instead of getting rid of the parasites. Now, that was his idea. I'm not sure if I believe that or not, but nonetheless, the idea of it was fascinating. So, and I am not a big fan of getting rid of anything. You know, there's a little, you probably can't see it behind me, but there's a quote on that heart that's from Einstein, which is, and I'm gonna trash the quote. I'm terrible at quotes. But the idea that Einstein said was, energy can either be, I'm gonna read it. It can either be created or destroyed. It changes form. Okay, so Anything that is here is simply energy. And it's not our job to get rid of it. It's our job to understand it. It's our job to honor that there's a reason why. So one of the things I often say is there's a really good reason why you're in reaction. Your mind is behaving the way it's behaving. There's a really good reason why this seeming energy or entity is there. There's nothing bad or wrong or broken with it. There's a really good reason why. So instead of getting rid of it, which is adversarial, which does not create an opening. So if you think of something that you want as part of this, a part of a stick, right? And on one end of the stick is what you want, and the other end of the stick is everything you don't want. Guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a seesaw, right? Because what you don't want is part of the same stick. So instead of saying, this is what I don't want, this is what I want to get rid of, you say, this is what I want, and here's what it would feel like when it's accomplished. Here's who I would be when it's done. And now you've got a different stick. And the way to actually get this who I would be when I'm done is by using the upset, using whatever's happening, using in this framework the energy of the entity or this energy frequency that feels off, is to use it to do a spontaneous transformation, to do an attunement, to do a healing journey, to do sound vibration, all part of this course, to actually reframe the energy, to create a new frequency that is no longer a match for that energy. So it's a lot gentler than needing to get rid of. And we can just, when there's already a shift happening right here, right now. So let's just play with this idea that what if there's nothing going wrong? Just play in that vibration. I'm going to do a little energy entity clearing right now. So what if there's nothing going wrong and that were true? What if that were absolutely true and you could feel that in your physical, emotional, and mental body? What if that were true and you could feel it? Wow, there's a shift happening already. So there's a vibrational shift happening already. And so as you stand in that, what if there's nothing going wrong? Let's now take it to the next step. What if I were standing in the center of my soul, connected to my soul? What if that were true? What would that be like? And part of that is there's nothing going wrong. So feel that. There's a lovely shift happening here with that. That's it. What if there's nothing going wrong and I'm standing at the center of my soul, feeling my power? What if that were true? I'm standing at the center of my soul, connected to my soul, connected to my guidance, connected to my divine impulse. What if that were true? That's it. Beautiful. Well, there's a big shift happening here now. And so now as we stand in that energy and start to believe it, and even if it's an inkling of a possibility of a maybe that you're believing it, just an inkling is all that is required. That's how powerful you are. To just have an inkling that it's possible that you are now standing in the center of your whole soul and your power is growing. That it is possible that there's nothing going wrong and you can actually feel that. What if that were true? Even if it was an inkling. There we go. There's a nice shift happening here. Okay, so now as you stand in this energy, I'm going to do a little entity clearing. So I'm just asking if I should do my normal way and if I should do it out loud. They're telling me not to do it out loud. Okay, so I'm going to do a little entity clearing. And it's going to, I'll be silent for just a few minutes as this happens. But your job is to stand in the center of your soul and ask into and describe to yourself over and over and over again what it feels like that nothing is going wrong and that you're at the center of your soul and you're connected to spirit. Just feel that. And notice that your mind might be a little quiet as you do that. So your job is to do that. And if your mind, by the way, if your mind interferes, I can hear a couple of your minds going, this is insane, this is crazy, this is weird, this is stupid. I remember someone else doing that. Why isn't she going to do it out loud? I can hear some of your minds doing that. That's okay. Turn to your mind, if any of your minds are doing that, and just say, thank you very much, beautiful mind. Thank you very much. And yet, I'm going to stay over here, the center of my soul. I'm going to stay in the energy of nothing is going wrong. There we go. Very nice. And so your mind gets to witness, but it doesn't get to interfere at this stage, okay? And by the way, you can't get this wrong. Just so you know, there's nothing to be afraid of here at all. There's just lower vibrating energy. That's it. Got it? Okay, so I'm going to do a little entity clearing now as you stand in the center of your soul, which is open up the space for the clearing to happen. There we go. That's it. Just breathe into the center of your soul. Feel light. There should be a lightness there now. There we go. Okay. So those energies and entities have been invited out. And here's the deal. If it feels like they're coming back, use it. Use it to actually know that there's something else that's ready to heal. That's all that's happening. What if that were true? Wouldn't that be great? That there's nothing going wrong? There's just life showing up in different hues and densities, revealing what's ready to be healed next, and that's it. There we go. So some of you might be feeling a little lighter. Okay.
Well, that was fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. A little different.
Yeah,
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the Shift Network Q&A. Well, I'm looking at the clock here. We have time for a few more questions here, but this might be a good time for me to go ahead and talk about the course, give you a chance to sort of sit back and regroup for a second here. Let me go ahead and give some details about the course itself. There's one person in particular asking, do I have to be on Facebook for this? And the course is not delivered through Facebook. We'll have a Facebook group, which I'll talk about in a minute, but no, you don't have to be on Facebook in order to participate. And once again, the course is called Spontaneous Transformation. And this is going to be a pretty amazing 6-week journey with Jennifer, where you'll receive energy medicine practices to transform your lifelong beliefs and coping mechanisms that are held in your body and your subconscious mind. And the 6-week course takes place on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, starting Tuesday, September 17th. And if you can't join us live, that's fine. You won't miss out on the teachings. You'll receive audio and video recordings, transcripts, and all course handouts on your course homepage. Also, we offer a no-risk money-back guarantee, giving you a full 2 weeks until October 1st in this case, to make sure that you absolutely love it. And as an added option, as I mentioned, all participants are welcome to connect in a private Facebook community group so you can stay connected with one another between classes and even for a year after the class is over. Also, everyone who registers receives the Spontaneous Transformation Bonus Collection. First, you'll receive, as Jennifer mentioned earlier, you'll receive 3 potent spontaneous transformation healing workshops. Next, you'll get a 60-minute audio healing from Jennifer called Living in Prosperity Now. And then you'll receive a set of 10 inspirational audio chants from Jennifer entitled Awakening Chants. And you'll also receive 30 days or more of remote in-the-background healing transmissions from Jennifer. And when you register by midnight Pacific on Friday, September 13th, you'll receive this extra gift, and that is an audio recording from Jennifer called The Wellness Attunement. So before we get back into questions, Jennifer, let me ask you, what are you most looking forward to sharing with your upcoming course?
As you described it, it's just, I've never done a course like this before. I've done different programs for each of these. And yet I'm bringing them all together. So it's really keeping you on your spiritual toes. And one of the things that you're going to experience, I think, is you're going to actually change your neurophysiology to actually create a new life. So you're going to understand the old patterns. We're going to shift a lot of the old patterns, and you're going to actually create a new platform, a new foundation upon which to stand on, and really see life differently. And also, you're going to be able to access, kind of as we did just a moment ago, you're going to be more and more and more able to access your divine self, your soul. And as you do that, that's going to help you understand your purpose. It's going to help you understand way more clearly what your next steps are, and it's going to support you in really knowing, again, more who you are. And when you do that, life accelerates. The things you've been wanting accelerate. Changes happen quite dramatically, and we're going to release the old upsetting memories that have been fueling the mind, the old patterns and coping mechanisms that you've been using in your life recently. We're going to be shifting a lot of that. And we're also, as I said, going to be shifting the chakras. Now, one of the things I want to mention about the bonuses is the remote healing. The minute you join, so if you join today, you're going to get more than 30 days of remote healing. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to do a little process of what you're going to receive as part of the remote healing. I hope that's okay.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay, great. So we're going to do a little process here. And this is what I will be doing with you every morning for 30 plus days. If you join today, again, you'll get more than 30 days. So as soon as this course starts, it's going to be 30 days. So you'll be receiving this remote healing in the background. I've done prayer healing for many, many years, and this remote healing is quite profound. I work with you every single day. I actually work with you every day. In the background, though. You don't have to show up. You don't have to do anything. I'll just be working with you in the background. It's usually in the morning, and sometimes I also do some nighttime additional stuff. So I'm just going to do a quick little process here that gives you an idea of what you're going to be experiencing every single day. You're going to be able to, in your mind's eye, see me at home doing this with you every day. So we're going to start by just letting me see. I'm going to see you. I have this weird ability to be able to see and understand and know and watch and notice energy fields. So right now, everyone who's listening now and on the replay well into the future, I can see you. And so right now, as I see you, you might have felt something. What happens is when you are seen, something gets ignited. So I see you. I see your beautiful, beautiful, remarkable, powerful, incredible light. I see you. I see the spark of divinity that you are. I see you. I see who you really are. I see your beautiful motivation of love. I see your intention of love in everything that you do. Even if you don't think it's valuable, I see the intention of love that's behind every initial step of what you do. I see you. Oh, it's so beautiful. I wish you could see what I see as I see all of your souls. I see you. Wow, there's a big shift happening. When we are seen, we are activated. And so I see you. See if you can feel me. See if you can sense what it's like to be seen. I see you. And I trust you. I trust your beautiful soul. I trust your soul. I trust your soul's decisions. I trust on the adventure that your soul has taken you on. I trust where your soul is taking you next. I see you and I trust your soul. That's it. I see your bright, beautiful light. And there's an activation that's happening right now as I see you. You might notice that, you might not. Some people don't notice these things. It's okay. You do it the way that you do it. And so I see you. I trust your soul. That's it. And now there's an elevation happening. It's as if you are being elevated up and the container of your being is opening up to receive. And you're being elevated up to receive the light of your soul, the light of the infinite eternal self. And I see you, and I trust you. And I see you now being filled with the light of your soul, filled with this nurturing, nourishing, beautiful light of your soul. So this soul light is reminding you of who you actually are. It's helping you to remember the light of your soul, that you are this divine essence. And as you are filled and filled and filled, you might notice it. And it might be moving through areas of your physical body and causing a little bit of discomfort because it's creating a vibrational movement that hasn't been there for a while. And so you are filled and filled and filled and filled and filled with the light of your soul. This soothing balm of love fills you of your soul light. This cooling salve just cools and cleans and loves and honors and acknowledges. You are filled and filled and filled with the light of your soul. And filled and filled and filled. That's it. And I see you being filled. I see you. I see your bright light expanding as you're filled with the light of your soul. And now it fills and concentrates in areas where it's most needed in the physical, mental, and emotional bodies. It concentrates and loves and loves and loves and loves. And now it overflows into your circumstances. And it softens the hard edges of life. It softens the hard edges of those circumstances and just calms and soothes and cools. And now it moves past your circumstances, overflowing past your circumstances and moving into the broader universe and beckoning back to you solutions, resources, divine supply, answers, new discernments, new ways of looking at things, new inspiration. At this level of your soul light so that it's a match and you can embrace it and see it and love it and use it. And I see you. And there's a powerful transformation happening, and I'm just putting my hands into the transformation. What that means is I'm shining the light of consciousness on the transformation so that it will expand even more. And there's an unwinding happening. And you might notice a little bit of fluttering in your heart chakra. That's a beautiful opening that's happening. And I see you. I see your beautiful light. Trust your soul. I see the soul light moving into the world, beckoning back to you what you desire. There we go. And so it is. And now I do that for much longer, but you get the idea. So that's part of the bonus of the remote healing.
Wow. Wow, that was really cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. You actually, you even look brighter. Your throat chakra opened up.
I was definitely feeling what you were doing. That was, as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of hard because I'm working, and I'm doing things behind the scenes. But this is really easy to connect with. It's very very simple.
Actually, that's cool that you brought that up because everyone else is going to be working. Everyone that's going to be receiving this is just going about their life. So that was really cool that you mentioned that because that's exactly what's going to be happening. They're going to be working and they might all of a sudden go, oh, I think I'm receiving the energy now. And there's a bunch of people who have already invested in this because they wanted to get the full, as many days as possible of this. And so they've already been writing in to share how they've been feeling the vibrational shift already.
Huh. Wow. That's very cool.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to mention is the chants. These are my most popular sound vibration chants. These are healing chants, and that's also the bonus you're going to get. And there's an ethereal version that you can use for meditation, and then there's a dance version, so you can boogie as you heal. And a lot of people pop these on to change the energy in the moment. I've been talking a little bit about that, that if something shows up and you're in that point where you remember the conversation we're having here and say, oh, wait a minute, this is here for me because I'm ready. It's revealing what's ready to be healed next. You can pop in one of those chants and change the energy in the moment. You'll feel quite healing. They're really fun. They're really beautiful melodies, and lots of people use them as a daily practice. And that's also part of the bonus.
All right, cool. Thank you. Wow. Well, let's get back to the questions here. Otherwise, I'm going to take up the rest of the time together, just you and me having a conversation. Right. We've got a question here from Jen, who wants to know, does your work help with trauma that's been passed on through the generations?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to be doing ancestral trauma clearing for sure in this course. Your guides have not told me which night yet. Most of my work I do when the program starts and the guides tell me what we're going to do with the people who are participating. I'm not sure which night it's going to be, but absolutely we will be doing ancestral trauma. As you know, there was a study done with mice where they, and unfortunately it was, sorry about that, it was mice, but nonetheless, it was an interesting thing where they scared the mice and they had cherry blossoms. And so they kept scaring the mice and had the cherry blossoms there. So they eventually, as soon as they introduced just the smell of cherry blossoms, the mice would be terrified. Now, what happened was they found that for 7 generations after, the mice would be terrified by the smell of cherry blossoms without any other trauma present. So we know that trauma is definitely held. Science is proving. There's an article that just came out yesterday that proves that there is cellular memory for trauma. And so we will definitely be doing an ancestral clearing. And it's part of the STT process. And we do a little added thing as part of the STT. So maybe it will be part of the STT night. But we'll definitely do some ancestral clearing for sure. So yes, very important, because that stuff's holding our energy at bay without us even knowing it. It's totally not our fault. It happened to that gosh darn great grandfather, and he's holding up my abundance and my health. Gosh darn it. So yes, we'll be clearing that as well for sure.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Let's squeeze one more question in if we can. We're almost out of time. Jillian wants to know, can you describe what you feel when you're feeling a shift in others?
Oh, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. How can I describe it? I am clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvoyant. So there's multiple things happening. There's a multidimensional thing happening. I definitely see auras and vibration and light. I have since I was a teenager. And I have this ability also, because I'm clairaudient, I can hear the mind's thoughts and the mind's questions, which is really helpful because a lot of what I do is assist the mind in changing through clearing the core trauma, which is, and that trauma has been fueling the mind. So I see, I hear, and I sense what's happening. I'm also trained for many years in craniosacral therapy. So I'm able to actually experience the unwinding of the cranial system, of the physical body, of the organs and the tissue. So I'm also experiencing that. I'm able to witness where it's called the still point. And the still point is where the most profound healing happens. So I can feel the unwinding of the system, sometimes of the physical body part that I'm working on. And I'm able to watch the unwinding and support it so that it eventually moves into the still point, and then I can feel the healing pulse, and then I can feel the resolution. So you'll often see me with my hands in the air, and then I do something like this. That's the resolution, and that's taking the final energy out. So there's a lot going on. It's like living in a hologram when I'm doing healing work. I can see and see what's happening, hear what's happening, and I very much watch the system as it expresses itself, and I put my hands in intention, a vibrational intention of healing into that. The other thing that I do is I do a lot of programming, intentional programming. So, and it's not force over, by the way, it's with full permission of the people I'm working with. I get full permission. And I program things, the intention into the healing work. So there's a lot of programming that happens with sound vibration in particular, where I hold a healing intention and program it. I can program crystals, and I've even got a selection of hats and T-shirts that I've programmed with 10,000 prayers. So that's another piece of what I do in my healing work that you'll experience in this course.
Well, all right. Okay, well, as I mentioned, we are out of time. Yeah, it really was. It was a great answer, too. And I think that's just a great way to wrap it up here. This has been just a fascinating conversation. I want to thank our viewers for being with us today and for all of your questions, because without the questions, we wouldn't have had this conversation, would we? Once again, Spontaneous Transformation starts Tuesday, September 17th. And again, you can visit spontaneoustransformationcourse.com to learn more and to register. So before we let you go, Jennifer, do you have any final words?
I'm just super excited to play with you in this program. And again, if you're feeling a tug in your heart that you'd like to do this, there's a reason why. We're supposed to work together. We agreed long before you got to this planet that we were going to play in this course. And here's what I know, that every single thing that I do in terms of courses like this, I've been guided to by you. So this is a co-creation for sure. You have called this information forward through me to you. In fact, you are me talking to you right now. So if you are here listening, then you are being called. There's no question in my mind. I've had many moments where I've been in videos just like this, and I've been called, and I took the course because I knew it was what's next. So there's a co-creation happening. This is not just me doing this to you. You're doing this with me. And so if you're being called, do this for yourself and do this for the planet. Because if you're watching this, you're like me, someone who wants to make a difference. I know that. And so I believe this course is here to support you in fundamentally shifting at the core to really make a difference in your life, in the life of those who you immediately impact, and the world at large. As each of us heal, we impact all. There's no question about it. We're all part of the one, right? So I hope you'll join me. I really do. I would be so honored and privileged to play with you in this way, to help you and me all become the contributors that we have intended to be, to make a difference on this planet and in our own lives. So I'd be honored to support you and guide you in that.
All right. Well, thank you again, Jennifer. It's been just an absolute pleasure having you here today. I personally feel more sparkly. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's been a delight playing with you. And thank you for the amazing questions from the audience members. This has been a real treat for me.
Right. Yes. Once again, I want to thank everyone who joined us today. On behalf of all of us at the Shift Network, I wish you well and look forward to having you on this course or perhaps another one in the future. Have a great night, everyone.